kicking things off is the women's WarGames match with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Naomi, and Io Sky against Nia Jax, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, Candice LeRae, and Raquel Rodriguez. So 5-minute first period and then 3-minute intervals until everyone is in. Then the match officially begins and can end in pinfall or submission. It is not screaming to surrender as the ending here. So that was the setup here. And we are starting off with Bayley and Nia Jax. And the beginning part here, we had a great moment. WWE on top of things, they want to bring you right into the action, and boy did they, as they did this close up of Bayley right on the apron, telling Nia, elbow. And wouldn't you know it, Nia then struck her with an elbow, so bringing you right into things. And then, pretty basic stuff here that the two had with Jax whipping Bayley with a piece of her attire that Bayley had taken off to try and use as a weapon. That we were going to slowly intensify the weapons, starting off with Bayley's wardrobe as a whipping device. Third was Naomi, who's wearing a birthday crown, which they explained here. It's her 37th birthday. Happy birthday, Naomi.
Yeah, November 30th.
Yes. Is she going to any retirement home? I think 37, she's safe from the wrath of Braun.
I hope so. Yeah.
So she brings in a kendo stick, and the most utilized weapon, I think, in this whole match, the toilet seat.
Yeah.
They got a lot of use out of this toilet seat.
To my knowledge, I think the first time we've ever seen a toilet seat in a WarGames. Why not? Why not?
First for everything. Mm-hmm. The crowd was singing happy birthday at Naomi, who places the toilet seat on Nia and gives her a stink face. Graves still finds Rikishi's
homage
version.
to a father-in-law.
Yes, but Graves did find Rikishi's still more offensive than this.
Okay.
Candice LeRae was in fourth. Stratton was about to enter when Candice LeRae sidestepped her, and she entered ahead of Stratton. She brings chairs into the ring, and if anything, I was glad they kind of cut this pattern out by the men's match, but just we have 2 people start and then it's 8 entrances and 8 people just going to the tickle trunk to bring out the weapon of choice here. Like we're like watching Carrot Top here do a set. It just became a little bit repetitive and it's like this every year for the WWE WarGames matches. And then finally Jimmy Uso was like, F this, I'm bringing my fists and my kicks.
It's an easy reaction, depending on what the weapon is, and I guess
toilet seat didn't get as much of a reaction, but
it got a reaction. The toilet seat,
okay,
yeah. Well. Maybe I don't know if it's the type of reaction you want for a serious match like the WarGames, but I mean, it did get a reaction.
So LeRae brings in chairs, and that prompted Nia Jax to take the chair and deliver some of the most awful chair shots you will see on national television. These were the worst chair shots. I am all for people hitting people in safe places, but these were such weak chair shots, and it looked terrible. The coordination
left something to be desired, where I think she would lift the chair up, and then her victims would either cover, and Nia would
Naomi put her arms up and Jax held up like she didn't want to hit her, and it was like time stood still for 5 seconds.
And so she went for the gut, but then Jax went after Bayley, who did not hold her hands up, and kind of prompted Bayley to hold her hands up so she can attack her in the waist. It was I think it lacked some coordination. So
yeah, and then it was just that was followed by these chairs set up, and Bayley was placed on the middle chair for a quebrada by LeRae, who just with the chairs there, she almost made no contact here coming down on Bayley. So there were some issues here with some of the contact, but we continue on. Bianca Belair came in with trash cans, and Belair moonsaults off the corner holding a chair and then hits almost like a Van Daminator to Jax. Sixth was Tiffany Stratton, who brings in a trash can and a trash can lid, attacking Belair and Naomi with it, and works together with Jax as they high-five, including a double-team blockbuster Samoan drop on Belair as the heels are dominating the period until Naomi gets some chair shots in at the end. Then Io Sky entered, who I thought was the best performer of the 10 in this match. She comes and grabs the trash can from underneath. It's a purple trash can. It's her special trash can, which comes with a rope to fasten around her to climb the fence with. I have no issue with this for someone that realizes, listen, this is my spot, and I am going to get here in the afternoon, and I'm going to Bob Vila the hell out of this trash can so that I can make the easiest entrance with this trash can. As she climbs up, and there is a platform at the top of the cage where the trash can would sit and just let it linger, as we knew Io would make her way back to this platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why go through the door when you could go this direction? So Jax then runs Sky over at the end of the period. I thought Sky was very strong here when she was when she was added to the match. 8th is Raquel Rodriguez, and her and Nia just start. Man, these were like the outrunners here, just the power twins, and they even hit a super collider onto Naomi and Sky, which it was identified as such. 9th is Rhea Ripley. Do you want to describe Rhea Ripley's mask? This was quite the upgrade from the just facial protection mask. This was like the Undertaker's Phantom of the Opera mask on wild.
Rhea had this sort of like goat skull, like a goat with like 4 different horns, I guess, a ram's horn, and then like a regular set of horns too. I mean, it looked incredibly cool. I mean, honestly, it looked like she might be related to a member of the House of Black, is what it looked like.
Do you think that we could have fans leaving with not just their X-ray T-shirts for Rhea, but now buying these masks?
I mean, I don't know if they'd be selling these. If they were, I think it'd probably cost quite a bit.
I like to believe that nothing gets worn that they're not willing to part with in grand volume with. This is probably a $80 mask they'll start selling.
Oh, more than that. I mean,
it could be.
Look great.
So Ripley gets a table, and she just rams it into Raquel's face as she enters. A lot of intensity from Rhea. Naomi went for a double rear view off the top rope to Nia and Raquel. I had no idea what this was supposed to be until Michael Cole identified it as such. Then the heels get whipped with the toilet seat. In a cool spot, Bayley takes Belair's braid and starts using it as a weapon. I hope she has permission for this. And then it's Rhea beating down everyone, and she is the last one standing as the clock ticks 0, and Liv Morgan is last. But Liv is looking fearful, goes to the back, and returns with the baseball bat that was used in storyline to take out Rhea on NXT weeks ago. So Liv comes in, and she just starts going to town with this baseball bat after Ripley removes her mask. It's like, come for the orbital. And the Riptide gets stopped, and they stomp Ripley, and this is where they hold Ripley, and Liv just starts attacking her with baseball shots to the body and back. And we got this great series of spots where each person gets laid out with a variety of strikes, suplexes. Bayley sends Liv into the corner, and then Jax hits a Samoan drop to Bayley for a 2 count, which is the first pinfall attempt of the match. Sky climbs up to get her trash can that's been left on this platform, while Tiffany climbs on the other end of the cage onto another platform, and simultaneously, Io does her moonsault with the trash can, while Stratton delivers a swanton off the other side, and we had groups there to catch each one. Tough spot to shoot, but they went to this shot that you can see on the screen, so they were both executing these at the same time.
It was a tough spot to time because, I mean,
would you have spaced these?
Well, there's a great element of danger to both of these spots, especially with Io's when she's doing something like this pretty blind. But timing is really difficult on the part of Tiffany Stratton, who had to get up there and essentially wait for Io to do it. It wasn't just her that had to wait. It was everybody below them that had to kind of awkwardly stand there frozen, waiting for these people to dive on them. And
it's on Tiffany to get the timing that, like, she has to follow suit with Io.
Yeah. Considering all of those sort of moving parts, I think they did the best they could. Like, by the end of it, all we're going to remember is the spot and how it looked. We're not going to remember maybe the awkwardness that led up to it. And in that sense, I thought it was totally worth it. You know, it was probably the highlight of the match.
It probably got the biggest reaction of the match as well. And like Io rotated herself, like pretty much landed on her feet coming down as well.
Perfect.
So it looked like, hit it as well as you could with this like blind moonsault off the top, which is like absolutely nuts. No matter how many times we've seen Io do this. Stratton, then, I could not believe this way. Like Nostradamus here below our screen here, pulls out the briefcase from under the trash can, and the crowd goes nuts. Now, the second This makes no sense how this can work within the body of this match, but you do have a prone Liv and Nia from the previous dive. So they tease it, but then Raquel is screaming at Stratton, and it doesn't matter. She gets cut off, but it does get the easy pop because you're always going to get a pop for this briefcase. I'm glad they didn't try to do this cash in because I think it would have been so illogical.
Yeah. I mean, something like the briefcase continues to maybe offer opportunities for really confusing booking that I just don't see. If you have creative control over this gimmick, you would never want to entertain because it just, why confuse the audience? But it does continue to tell us what Stratton's main storyline is, and that's her holding the briefcase, constantly being a threat to her partner, Nia Jax.
Jax starts whipping Belair around with her own braid as she gets back to her feet. The Annihilator is stopped, and Belair and Naomi powerbomb Jax through a table. Liv makes a save using the bat, and a Riptide is stopped by Raquel, who has been handcuffed after a fire extinguisher was used, and when the smoke clears, she's handcuffed. So there's a code breaker with a chair to Ripley by Liv, and then an Oblivion off the top turnbuckle is blocked by Ripley, who manages a Riptide to Liv off the top turnbuckle and through a table, with Ripley pinning Liv Morgan at 38 minutes and 15 seconds as the babyface team prevails, and Ripley looks very dominant. I thought she was booked very strong and was very effective in this match, and I thought overall it was a very good match, and I thought Io was like the standout. I thought the match really escalated when she got in there, but there was a lot of intensity down the stretch. It did have its problems from some of the timing issues and some of the early weapon spots. It had its issues, but overall it was a pretty crowd-pleasing match. The double dives were probably the high point from a crowd spectator point of view, and you come out of this with a very clear direction of Rhea Ripley going for Liv. So I thought it was a very straightforward WarGames match that was effective in its booking.
Yeah, I overall enjoyed the match, as I usually enjoy WarGames matches. I think there's always just enough interesting things going on, enough star power most of the time for these matches to be successful and to receive great reactions from the crowd. But I did think this particular WarGames was pretty clunky early on, in particular when it was just Nia wrestling in there. And it's not only on Nia, it's with, it's on everybody else that was sort of in there with her as well. I think I'd be critical of the decision to give the baby faces the advantage for this match.
I hated that in this. I feel it's just with the two war games, they feel they have to be different. And if you watch the way they always had the baby faces selling, even when they had the numbers advantage. So it was just, I hate that they do it. It's so clear that this match works the other way. And I think they just want the two to be distinct, and that's how they do it. I completely agree with you.
I thought it made for a totally unnecessary handicap to the match. They, like you said, John, they ended up giving the heels control most of the times anyway, which made things a little bit ridiculous when it was the faces up in a 5-on-4 advantage, yet they were all laying down. So it kind of made the faces look either extra weak or just kind of hard to believe in general. So, I mean, I don't think they need to be so cute with it in the future. Just have the heels, or script the match slightly differently, but we know what works best for WarGames. Like I said, I think ultimately what we remember from these sort of matches is the big spots, and despite how maybe awkward some of the waiting around was, the highlights are going to be what we remember out of this match, and they looked really good. I really like the sleight of hand handcuffing of Raquel Gonzalez with the fire extinguisher, and once the smoke cleared, you see her getting handcuffed. I thought that was done
they
really
did
well.
that very quick.
I like the cash and tease, and as far as like drawing attention to the relationships between some of these characters, like Bayley with Io and Bayley with Bianca, there was some material there, not necessarily enough material to like resolve anything, but they at least did their acknowledging of it. So. Listening to the reaction alone, very successful match. I didn't love all of the execution of it, but got a great reaction.
Yeah, and I will say this, that going in, like you could, and I thought that they would somewhat lean on this, is that you do have your, like, for lack of a better term, your weak links in both of these WarGames matches that you could imagine taking the pin. Instead, they had like main people taking these pinfalls for maximum impact and for a purpose. With Liv Morgan losing, there was a reason for it, and as we'll talk about in the main event, like they certainly did not lean on like a Tonga Loa, or in this case like Candice LeRae, who's just the least established of like your players in the women's division.
Team captains took the pin and did the pinning. So, I mean, when you're looking to when you're looking to build directly to the matches that are supposed to follow out of this, that really is, I think, the best decision.
Where do you see this Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan match happening? I would think like Saturday night's main event is very soon. You have 2 weeks. The other big one is this Netflix debut that I could see them loading up that show.
Yep, that feels like a big one. You know, Rumble at this point is also a possibility in February. I don't see these two making it all the way to Mania. So
I think even Rumble's long to hold this one off for, unless you could do Raquel in the meantime before you get to Liv. But based on this finish, you have to get there pretty soon, I would think. Yep. And maybe January 6th is the best place. Like you really want to load that. Like that is the biggest show that they have coming up.
If you like this video, consider joining our Patreon, the Post Wrestling Cafe. Multiple bonus podcasts every week, ad-free shows, and access to our full archive. Otherwise, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. Thank you for watching.